We move to Sri Lanka now. A payment of $78 million was due on Monday. Colombo was supposed to pay interest on its international sovereign bonds. That will not happen. Sri Lanka has suspended all international debt payments. A default is looking imminent. Two of the world's largest credit rating agencies are issuing warnings. Fitch Ratings says a sovereign default process has begun. S&P says a default is now a virtual reality. Sri Lanka has never defaulted on its debt, but now it will. Sri Lanka's finance minister is now making a public admission. The country does not have the money to pay back the creditors. How will Sri Lanka pull itself out of this mess then? On Gravitas tonight, we will discuss. An important meeting is scheduled for the 18th of April, in 4 days from now. Sri Lankan officials will be holding talks with the IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund. Sri Lanka wants emergency relief funds from the IMF. How much money do they need? $3 to $4 billion. That's what Sri Lanka needs this year alone. The Sri Lankan government will make an appeal to the IMF. It wants an immediate release of the funds. And they expect the IMF to release the funding after 7 days. So emergency relief of $3 to $4 billion. But is that enough? Not really. Sri Lanka owes over $50 billion to its creditors. But the immediate worry is survival. Colombo does not have money to even buy the essentials. And it knows a bailout from the IMF is not enough. So it is considering taking aid from India. And New Delhi is willing to help. It is considering more financial assistance. Reports say India is willing to commit up to $2 billion in support. It is also willing to send supplies of food and fuel. Earlier, remember, India had given a $1 billion credit line to Sri Lanka. This was for essential supplies like food, fuel, medicines. Earlier this week, a shipment of rice was also dispatched to Sri Lanka.
We are processing line of credit for buying essential foods items and essential needs like pharmaceuticals, the industrial raw materials, cement, and the animal feeds, and also the fertilizer. In this business, we got first shipment as rice shipment. India always support us in whenever we necessary. India always support us.
India always supports us. That's what the Sri Lankan Trade Ministry said. So far, India has committed $1.9 billion to Sri Lanka. This is in the form of loans, credit lines and currency swaps. Sri Lanka has sought another $500 million credit line for fuel. What about China? China used to be the go-to source of funding for the Rajapaksas. Why hasn't China stepped up to help Sri Lanka? Well, it's not like Colombo did not ask for help. Sri Lanka had sought $2.5 billion in credit support. China has not responded to the request. And why is that? Apparently, China is hesitating in bailing out Sri Lanka. The reason is the political crisis. The Rajapaksas are on shaky ground. Yesterday, we told you about the opposition's plans. They want to move an impeachment and a no-confidence vote. If it goes through, both the brothers will be out of power. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The protests continue unabated. Today, Sri Lankans mark the new year by protesting outside the presidential secretariat. The monks also joined them. Their demand remains the same. The Rajapaksas must go.
We normally stay at home with families celebrating New Year, but this year it's different. So we are together as a Sri Lankan nation, and we want the president to step down and all the corrupted politicians to step down as a nation.
We all are coming here in the island everywhere. So we are celebrating here our New Year, with protest.
The Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has asked the protesters to be patient, but Sri Lankans have run out of patience. They are no longer buying assurances. They want to see concrete action. As of now, mere promises to solve the economic crisis are not enough. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.